I want to, of course, recognize Ambassador Falefu and Ambassador Ouattara. This is your second time attending the Island Resilience Summit at EarthX. Ambassador Daniel, welcome to your inaugural experience. We appreciate you being here. Tonga, when the Prime Minister was talking, he mentioned that Tonga serves as part of the Troika for the Pacific Island Forum, those three governments chairing this regional body. Of course, the current chair is the Solomon Islands. And so, Ambassador Ouattara, I'd like to begin with you. What has that experience been serving as chair of the PIF? I'm curious, in the year that you've served in this capacity, what were the priorities when you assumed this role, and have those priorities evolved under your chairmanship?
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Before I respond to the question,
yes,
may I just take this opportunity just to acknowledge the support of the Island Resilience Organization for facilitating our participation at this meeting, including the three of us and others as well. With regards to Solomon Islands being the Solomon Islands is the 54th, represents the 54th chairmanship of the Pacific Island Forum Secretariat. The Pacific Island Forum is the, as the Prime Minister has just made reference to in his statement, it is the premier organization for the Pacific Island countries in the region with the mandate to coordinate cooperation and ensuring sustainable development for all the Pacific Island countries under the banner of the 2050 Pacific Blue Strategy for all the Pacific Island regions. So under that, there are a number of priorities that are outlined for implementation. Solomon Islands assumed the responsibility for leadership in 2025, that was last year, and it is on a rotational basis for all the other Pacific Island countries as well. And one of the priorities that was discussed at that time under the chairmanship of Solomon Islands is the issue of addressing climate change, the impact of climate change, which is a common challenge to all of us, of course with varying magnitude and differences, but we do all share the challenge, and to some extent it is existential for some of our countries. And for us, even the big island countries, there are specific islands, low-lying islands who are experiencing that as well.
Right.
And with the Pacific establishment of the Pacific Resilience Facility, it is an initiative that is led by the Pacific Island Forum leaders, tailored to meet their challenges, and it's managed by the Pacific Island Forum as well. And it is an initiative that is aimed at addressing not only the impact of climate change, but also sending the message that it is an initiative. It is ambitious, but it is an initiative that is taken by and is owned by all the Pacific Island regions in terms of addressing climate change, impact of climate change. And this facility is in progress. Preparations for that is in progress. Most of our Pacific Island countries have signed up to that in terms of signing the agreement and the ratification for the implementation of the facility. And the other aspect of that as well is the pledging for the capitalization of the facility that is ongoing, and it is very much well received by our partners who recognize the importance of supporting such a facility to support the Pacific Island developing countries. Thank you.
You mentioned the Pacific Resilience Facility being ambitious, which it certainly is, but it's already secured a tremendous amount of support. The Prime Minister informed me yesterday that there's over $100 million that this facility has secured, at least in commitments from other member states. I also understand that there's the ambition and aspiration of the Pacific Resilience Facility evolving into a regional multilateral development bank. I mean, really at the heart of I think how the Pacific countries are banding together. That seems like a major development in terms of actually financing the solutions that are being identified. Is there a sense of a timeline of when the facility will begin deploying that capital?
Thank you. As I referenced a bit earlier, it is in progress.
Yeah.
The capitalization of that is targeted at 500 million USD.
Yep.
And to date, about just less than 40% of that has been pledged and received. And the target in terms of implementation is that the first call for proposals for community projects that are led by Pacific Island countries will be held during the coming 55th Pacific Leaders Forum meeting, which will be held in Palau in September this year. So that would be an initial kickstart of the implementation of the facility. And of course, there is some ambition that it will be looking at opportunities to expand that into and partnership with other international financial institutions as well in moving that forward, because it is intended that it's a facility that would help Pacific Island countries respond to the immense disasters that they often face as a starting point. So yeah, it serves that purpose. Thank you.
I'd like to now turn it to, acknowledge an important fact about Tuvalu and Nauru. We talk about countries being on the front lines of climate change. Tuvalu and Nauru are two of the three smallest countries in the world, both by territory as well as population. I want to start with you, Ambassador Falefu. Can you talk about how Tuvalu's leadership has responded in the face of this existential crisis and rising seas that are causing parts of Tuvalu to disappear year after year, and what sovereignty looks like in an age of the climate crisis?
Thank you very much, Matt. If I can steal a minute or two just to recognize the presence of our audience. I thank the community of Tongan who are here with us today, who lives here in Dallas, for being here. And I also want to acknowledge the support that has been extended to us to be here and participate in this FX, and for you for convening this Island Resilience Summit and your team. Most of all, I want to say thank you so very much to Prime Minister Whakawhenua for his very eloquent remarks this morning and his panel discussion, for sharing with us his wisdom of the issues that he talked about this morning. I'm very touched by the way he expressed what is really common to us in the Pacific. On the question of how Tuvalu look at the issue of climate change, especially the issue of sea level rise, and how our leaders or the leadership of Tuvalu take the lead in the issue of sea level rise as the main concerns that we have about our existence as a state. I start off with saying that at the UN, Tuvalu has been the UN platform, and I have my colleagues here who can attest to that, have been leading the issue of sea level rise in trying to advocate that sea level rise is a fundamental challenge to Pacific Island states, especially for atoll states like Tuvalu, the Marshall Islands, and Kiribati. I know that most of us here do understand the context of island nations like Tuvalu, but for those who do not, Tuvalu is a low-lying atoll 2 meters above sea, and you can already imagine how that, in light of the concerns about the rising seas. In the last 2 weeks, there have been communication and especially scientific presentation made at the UN by the World Meteorological Organization, which is very alarming about the increase of sea level rise in the Pacific region. These are very real scientific findings, but for us in the Pacific, we already live the experience of inundation, water waves overtopping to our coast and coastal erosions. So based on our own experience of what we face in Tuvalu and of course in the Pacific, the leadership that we have in advocating for the impacts of climate change has tremendously changed from mere advocating about the impacts of climate change, but really finding ways of how the issue of sea level rise can be addressed. Of course, we know that there are two mainstream of climate change: mitigation and adaptation. For countries like Tuvalu, of course, other countries in the Pacific, our greenhouse gas emission is almost zero. And therefore, for us, our main concern is how we can adapt to the impacts to our countries that we did very little to it. And so adaptation is the one thing that we very much like to see from partners, and we have been advocating for adaptation, like the Pacific Resilient Fund that Ambassador Jane alluded to, how it was brought about as an idea and finally launched last year. And as of now, I believe there have been 5 countries already ratified, and Tuvalu and Solomon, I believe, was early this year in February. So we have about 3 more to go, because we need about 8 members to ratify the PRF to be able to come into force. And so these are the financing mechanisms that countries in the Pacific have been trying to get in order to have easy accessible to fund and to have this funding come to us as soon as we can, because of the challenge that we face on the impacts of climate change, and especially to help with our adaptation ambitions.
Ambassador, Tuvalu's definitely leaned into digital innovation. I'd love for you to speak to that in terms of the preservation of Tuvalu's culture and some of the actions that you all are taking.
Matt, I think there's a session in the afternoon on that, but I can quickly respond
Please.
to your question. Digital nation issue that you raised is something that we thought we need to have. In 2022, the then government decided to have a Future Now project, a project that have 4 pillars, and one of the pillars is digital nation. The idea behind digital nation is for Tuvalu to start digitizing all that we have, including our tradition, our heritage, and cultural values that we have, to save in the metaverse, in the cloud, so that our future generation would be able to access and understand what the cultures that we have before we disappeared if we are to disappear. So that is basically the initiative that we came up with, and the team in Tuvalu, which is finally set up a specific office to move this digital nation idea, and we have appointed a new general manager to take care of that. So we are very much committed to this idea of digitizing our heritage and cultural values.
Well, I did want to tease out the panel conversation later this afternoon that will build up on that. Ambassador Daniel, this of course is your first time at EarthX. Nauru, one of the smallest countries in the world, on the front lines. What else should people know about Nauru? Please enlighten us. Yes, ma'am.
Firstly, I do also like to add to what my colleagues have said, but I firstly want to thank His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Tonga, for leading our Pacific Island Resilience talks this morning. Thank you. And also thank his people who are here to support us. Thank you, Matt, and the organization for having us here. And given this is my first time to be in this great summit, I wanted to put myself in this very chair. So for me to be here, I would have had to travel from Nauru 24 hours on a flight. If I were, God forbid, had to travel by ship, I would be sailing for 5 weeks. But I am so definitely here. Nauru is on this earth. You may have to Google it and maybe click several times on the zoom in button and you will see me. So I just wanted to put that into context that I'm so small and the ocean is all around my country. I'm so grateful to be here, and given this is the state of Texas, where there are cowboys and of course cowgirls, and it is the state capital of the world for this. So from the horse's mouth, I will tell you, Nauru aspires to simply to exist. We've had in the past, we've had 2 near misses of being extinct, and you would know what for a nation, for a people to be extinct, that must have been, you were under 1,500. So yes, we did have 2 near misses of being extinct as a nation. And we were resilient. We're here, and we want to remain here on Earth, EarthX. And so for, I would say, for island resilience, 2 areas I would mention would be, well, climate change, for one. The impact of climate change is, for other bigger countries, it would be not as transformational, but for us, the impact is very, what was the word for it? It is so impactful that it would totally wipe out countries like my dear friend from Tuvalu, who would be who's already being inundated with the rising sea level. Another area, so maybe given my first time here, I am really looking forward to building partnerships. And I believe the key word that I would use for a successful partnership in my context would be a partnership that is very flexible to take in my very small economy base and my small size. And I can tell you that even the smallest assistance, the assistance to a project can make a big impact for a small country like me, because we're so small. So thank you. That's all I want.
Amazing. Well, Ambassador Daniel, Ambassador Watara, Pastor Pafu. Thank you all for joining us here today. Appreciate it. Thank you.